This is the Troll Patrol, live with Justin FREAKIN.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol, live. It's a freaking Wednesday. It's one of those weird shows, because tonight we're going to talk about the Pope. We're going to talk about the old Pope. And we're going to talk about, like, the Pope of men's rights. I look really stoned, and I assure you, I'm just sleepy. I'm not stoned yet. I decided at the last minute I was going to go make coffee. To my surprise, there was already coffee in the coffee pot. Curiouser had made coffee. I don't know when. Sometime after I finished off the coffee this morning. I had the last cup of coffee at 10 a.m. She's made coffee since then. So, because I got a buddy that gets on, because I'll drink day old coffee. If I have coffee left over in the coffee pot, I will heat it back up. And he thinks that's disgusting. But this was relatively fresh coffee. It had to have been made sometime after 10, 11 a.m. Meat cakes, clinically. What is up, my friends? Welcome. We got a hell of a stream planned for you. I hope you like cop videos and true crime and shit, because I got a lot of that tonight. I've got some wild videos of the weather. I got a few different things I'm gonna hit you with, such as a snow-nado in Idaho. I got video of Buffalo from overhead with the drones, just days after this massive snowstorm that killed dozens. Niagara Falls completely frozen. Then I got some grisly outcomes having to do with such weather events. 3 dead in a lake in Arizona. Doctor found under a pond in Michigan. An airplane crash in Maryland. I'm going to show you a guardrail impelling a car in Connecticut. I'm going to show you a postal worker that's alive but probably shouldn't be based on the crash. Demolished his truck. Fortunately, the bats got cold. So, apparently bats fall from the sky when they get really cold. So that had to be taken care of. Yes, Warlord, we're going to be talking about the new COVID restrictions that the U.S. is putting in place. Also, reaching a grim milestone, 100 million official COVID cases. Probably double that unofficially. 200 million Americans have probably had COVID at this point. Southwest canceling more flights. This having to do with weather, COVID, RSV, influenza, all kinds of things going on. We're going to go to Idaho. Newly released body camera video shows the cops actually visiting the house where 4 students were murdered, stabbed to death. God, it's been like 2 months now. We're checking back in with this one. It's been a couple of weeks since we've covered it. Police dropping the ball big time. There was a TikTok conspiracy that emerged about one of the professors at the university. We're going to give you an update on that. A woman in Indiana was denied a protective order before dying in an apparent murder-suicide. It happened a few days ago, but I'm going to give you the latest news. A woman tracked down some carjackers in Missouri. Apparently shot an innocent bystander. She's been charged with murder. A man has been arrested in an In-N-Out burger after a homophobic, racist rant. We've got it on tape. Those are the most fun. Exxon Mobil suing the EU over a windfall profits tax. I'm on the EU side. Jackson, Mississippi residents still without clean drinking water. This coffee is so fucking good. Coffee is so fucking good. Period. Ted Cruz. I've woke up now. Maybe it was the getting high part, because like I was coming on. I'm like, Ted Cruz tries to call out Joe Biden about taking vacation. I bet you know what happened there. Clearly a hypocrite. Ron DeSantis has announced an investigation into a Christmas drag show in Florida that was allegedly marketed to kids. Speaking of investigations, we now have an open investigation into Representative-elect George Santos. He's the one that lied about going to NYU. He's the one that lied about working at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. He's the one that lied about being... I'm sorry, he didn't say he was Jewish. He said he was Jew-ish. Apparently lied about his family fleeing the Holocaust. Possibly lied about being gay. I know somebody in the chat said their gaydar wasn't going off. I thought he was kind of cute. I could totally see him having a profile on Grindr. Marjorie Taylor Greene attacking Tulsi Gabbard after she had Mr. Santos on last night. I guess she was filling in for Tucker. We'll watch that. That'll be fun. Jamie Raskin. We've gotten to know him really well throughout the January 6th committee hearings. The impeachment of Trump. Jamie Raskin announcing that he has been diagnosed with cancer. Pope Benedict. Do you call him former Pope, or is he just always the Pope? Is it like, the title of president that we do over here? You just call him Pope Benedict from now on? Is Benedictus the 16th or some shit like that? He's sick. He been sick, baby. He been sick. He been sick, baby. Kanye West is apparently missing. This should come as a surprise to no one. This was the logical next step in this story. Anybody that knows how to write a good story, they knew that's what was coming. Kanye is missing. Fox says that a school withheld awards in the name of equality. I'm sure it's some bullshit. We're going to watch the 5 bitch about it. And then the thing that you all came for. This is the main event tonight, but I'm going to make you wait until the absolute end of the show. Idiot-ass Andrew Tate tweeted at Greta Thunberg. Greta clapped back. Andrew made a whole video responding to Greta. The video dropped about an hour or 2 hours ago. I haven't watched it yet. I'm sure it's fucking silly. Andrew Tate responds to Greta Thunberg. Plus, I got some snow leopards for you. Jam-packed Troll Patrol tonight. Ida, good evening. That was the story last night. My VPN was set for Romania. I wasn't on an American server, and it wouldn't let me pull up the local news story. I wanted to get into that. That woman has been detained in Indiana on unrelated charges. I guess she'll be extradited back to Ohio. Had to think about it for a second. Cover a lot of news around here. Clinically, I'm looking forward to hearing what Andrew Tate has to say. Beeving with a 19-year-old. Maybe she's 20 now. Still just pretty much a kid. Greta's cool, but like the right wing uses her as a good straw man. Like, why should we listen to Greta Thunberg? Well, no, you're not listening to Greta. Like, it's the scientist. He's just doing a marketing. But I'm sure the kid is bright. Greta cool in my book. And her clapback was funny. For those of you who haven't seen it, we'll get to that here in a little bit. It was fun today watching the best of is up on the YouTube. 9 hours of trolley goodness, and like I did it as a premiere, so like it was on like it was a fucking TV show or some shit, and I would check in with it. It was fun. I liked that. But like I've got the best of set up now. You can go to the description, and it has all the time periods you can jump to. You can jump to the Groiper attack. You can go see Matt Walsh talk about me. Those words. You're Johnny the Walrus till you change your mind. Some dumb words on top of it.
Honestly, I don't know why this guy doesn't get more views. I mean, he's like Macho Man Randy Savage.
Oh shit! I almost wore my Macho Man shirt tonight. Oh yeah! I think I have the same bandana on. Went to the doctor and got tested. Said I had OCD. One cool dude, yeah! It was a great compliment Matt paid me. Calling me Macho Man is actually a compliment. I don't think I sound like Macho Man in any way, but I'll take it. Fucking flattery will get you everywhere, Matt.
Macho Man Randy Savage could only bench press 45 pounds.
I could bench press you, Matt. Holy fuck. Holy fuck. No, how big is this motherfucker? See, this got me curious about how tall, how much he weighed and shit. It's like, could I take Matt Walsh? That's how I found out. He's actually regular sized. I thought he was pint sized. He's regular sized. That's the best of on the YouTube. It's a good encapsulation of like everything that happened. You can hear Bobert talk about wonton killing. You can hear me talk to a Jackson Hinkle mod. Ask DM if he masturbates. I came in on that one. I was talking to DM about masturbation at one point in time when I pulled it up this afternoon. So I think I'm going to do a New Year's show. Not New Year's Day. We're usually on New Year's Day. That's on Sunday. On New Year's Eve. I've got all these clips that I did for the best of. I've got some really cool like best of the year stories that we can throw in. I've got like the 2022 news bloopers. I've got Nostradamus's predictions for 2023. I got good shit, so we're gonna do a special Troll Patrol on Saturday night. New Year's Eve countdown. We'll watch the balls drop.
He's kicking authority in the balls.
Kick him in the balls. I don't know what I'll have access to on the YouTube. Matt Walsh, Matt Walsh. He called me a
Justin FREAKIN, a formidable voice in the culture.
But I appreciate him giving me a little boost earlier in the year. That is how some people found me. We gotta find out what that news be doing. I bullshit too much. I'm trying to keep myself in check. A little high. Yeah, news. The United States is reinstituting certain COVID travel rules. Let's find out the lowdown on what you got to do if you're planning on getting on an airplane.
This is driven by this spike in COVID cases in China as China.
I guess if you're planning on traveling to or fro from China.
COVID restrictions and by concerns of the emergence of a potential new variant here, right?
That's right. And it's also driven by one other thing, Hallie, which is U.S. skepticism about the data that China is.
I used to bring all kinds of numbers and not you.
It's COVID cases, and specifically.
Good evening, my friend.
Genomic sequence data. They don't believe, U.S. federal health officials, that they are going to be able to have a good handle.
I should have put us calling into C-SPAN on the best of for the year. I totally forgot. I called into C-SPAN. I was only looking at what I did was I was going by the clips that I put up on YouTube, and I was judging by the views that they got. I picked the videos that got the most views, and also some of the shit that I thought was most interesting. Like some of the calls didn't get that many views. But they're funny. I like calls. I like taking calls on here. By the way, the phone lines are open. The Discord is open. 917-830-4359. You hit the Bang Discord. It's more fun if you want to argue with me. Disagree with me about some shit. I'm down for it. I've told these stories before. Like I used to call into like the Zoo Crew afternoon drive DJs, and then I ended up working with them later on. You know, after I grew up and started working in radio, we used to we had like TV shows that you could call into. There was like a Wrestle Talk. One of them was called the 19th Tee, and they talked about golf, but they didn't get any calls unless like we called in just to fuck with them, but we didn't know shit about golf. At least we could talk about wrestling if we called into the wrestling show. Oh yeah. We were gonna find out what that news be doing. I'm sorry. So anyway, the U.S. Implementing new restrictions should you be coming to or fro from China because of China lifting their restrictions and a surge in COVID cases currently happening.
You hear this is driven by this spike in COVID cases in China as China has released.
I just said that.
Relaxed some of its COVID restrictions and by concerns of the emergence of a potential new variant here, right?
That's right. And it's also driven by one other thing, Hallie, which is U.S. skepticism about the data that China is releasing to the rest of the world.
Anti-vax to the max. We've got our eye on you.
Data. They don't believe U.S. federal health officials.
They come in during the COVID story.
Have a good handle with the data they have right now on potential new variants of concern that could emerge from the surge of cases we're seeing in China. And as a result, they don't know that they'd be able to tell when there's a new variant and then slow the spread. And so as a result, federal health officials tell us that starting on January 5th at 12:01 a.m., they will begin requiring a negative COVID test pre-departure from anyone coming from China. It doesn't matter if you're Chinese, American, or anything else. If you're coming by plane from China to the United States, you're going to have to get a negative COVID test up to 2 days before departure. It can be a PCR test. It can also, interestingly, be one of those antigen self-tests that you take, if it's the kind that you do via telehealth, which means essentially somebody is on a webcam watching you take that COVID test, and you kind of hold up the results so that they can see that it's a negative test, and that way you can get a piece of paper that says, look, this person actually did have a negative COVID result. The U.S. also says that in response to these concerns in China, they are stepping up their tracking and surveillance of travelers who are coming into the country by adding 2 new airports in Los Angeles and Seattle to that monitoring program as they
I don't know why it's not universal.
Acknowledge fully U.S. health officials that this is not going to prevent every single COVID case from entering the country from China.
Of course not.
They say it will go a long ways towards trying to slow the spread, and they also reiterate that the U.S. continues to make offers to China to help it with its COVID crisis, including an offer of vaccines. But they say so far China has not been willing to take the U.S. up on that offer, although they say that offer still stands despite these new restrictions going into place on January 5th.
Good evening.
This does feel in many ways, and Josh, you alluded to this, like what we saw in the early days of the pandemic, right? The imposition of travel restrictions and the onus on, in this instance, right, the onus is on airlines to get this stuff implemented.
That's exactly right. The airlines are going to be the ones who are going to...
Oh, God, I'm starting to feel sick now just listening to this.
And decide...
I got a tickle in my throat.
Whether to let you onto that flight. That is the key reason that health officials are not putting in this policy into place right now. You might say, all right, well, if we're concerned right now, shouldn't we do this immediately? Might it be too late if we wait until January 5th? But just like we saw when the U.S. imposed travel restrictions at the very beginning of the pandemic, this creates chaos for airlines at a time when, as we have been covering, there's plenty of chaos already in the airline industry. And so public health officials say that they will start this on January 5th so that they can work with the airlines to help them understand what is going to be required and help prepare them to be the ones who actually do that verification of these negative COVID tests.
I will tell you, Corey, that most places are actually down or steady with their COVID cases. I checked that out earlier. However, I mean, we are still seeing handfuls of deaths pretty much every state. And the U.S. has recorded 100 million COVID cases. But more than likely, 200 million Americans have probably had it. The U.S. has officially recorded more than 100 million confirmed COVID cases, but the actual number is probably at least twice as high. As the U.S. enters the 4th year of the pandemic, the virus keeps mutating into more transmissible variants, making it even more difficult to control. About 400 people a day are still dying from the virus, and about 5,000 are being admitted to the hospital daily. So there's that. COVID, the flu, RSV, bad fucking software, and weather all led to a confluence of events on Southwest Airlines this week, who has had to cancel even more flights. Listen to a statement from the CEO, apparently. Thousands of flights they're up to now.
For Sandra Maffei, William King.
Whether you haven't been able to get to where you need to go,
This is Bob Jordan.
our heroic employees caught up in a massive effort to stabilize the airline, to know is that we're doing everything we can to return to a normal operation. Cities where large numbers of scheduled flights simultaneously froze as record bitter cold brought challenges for all airlines. You know, our network is highly complex.
Kevin, thank you for being a freaking follower.
Counts on all the pieces, especially aircraft and crews, remaining in motion to where they're planned to go. With our large fleet of airplanes and flight crews out of position in dozens of locations, and after days of trying to operate as much of our full schedule across the busy holiday weekend, we reached a decision point to significantly reduce our flying to catch up. We're focused on safely getting all of the pieces back into position to end this rolling struggle.
I kind of feel like you just didn't have employees, sir.
Service well 99% of the time, but clearly
I don't think you made the decision to cut your flights. I just don't think you had the employees to be able to make the flights. asshole.
Need to double down on our already existing plans to upgrade systems for these extreme circumstances so that we never again face what's happening right now.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg promised an investigation. Mayor Pete on the scene.
Secretary Buttigieg earlier today to continue the discussions we've been having with the DOT through the holiday, sharing all the things that we're doing to make things right for our customers. We always take care of our customers, and we will lean in and go above and beyond as they...
The computer issue is a thing. So they've got a very antiquated system because they've not wanted to invest into it. So they don't have like a real-time tracker for their crew. It's like an old school system where they got to like phone into people. And because there were so many employees that were off their schedule, there were so many people phoning in that it was like a 23-hour wait for some of them. For like a flight attendant to be able to call in and let the company know where they're at. And so they've also not hired back their full staff that they laid off when we went into COVID. So it's all been these cost-saving measures and trying to run as lean as they can. Devil, good evening. That's exactly what we're talking about. This is some capitalist shit going on right in here. Southwest cancels more flights. The CEO is talking some bullshit.
He would expect us to. Teams are working on all of that, processing refunds, proactively reaching out and taking care of customers who are dealing with costly detours and reroutes. It's just a few examples. Our plan for the next few days is to fly a reduced schedule and reposition our people and planes, and we're making headway, and we're optimistic to be back on track before next week.
They'll be sure that they're back on schedule after New Year's. That's what we got going on with Southwest. It's at this point in time, though, it's kind of hard to keep blaming the weather, though shit's still going on. Let me show you some wild ass video. I've got some crazy pictures. Weather be doing some crazy ass shit, but it's cool. This is Buffalo. This is drone footage. For Buffalo, New York. Storm has killed dozens of people. They're expecting that as the snow melts, they're gonna find more dead bodies. Got pictures of Niagara Falls. Completely frozen. Problem with the climate is not people. It's the problem with the climate has nothing to do with the amount of people on the earth. It's not an individual problem. Industrial waste problem. Says, and I don't think they say that. Ninja fart. Just enjoy the crazy ass video of Buffalo.
Your body has millions of moving parts.
Whoa! Sorry, that was really loud. Here's Niagara Falls. Completely frozen. That's wild to me, but I assume it happens a lot. This isn't the first time Niagara Falls is froze, right? Check this out. In Idaho, we have video of a snow NATO. I thought it said Sharknado at first. This is a snow NATO. See it whirling over here. And that's good video. Watch it again. A snow NATO in Idaho. I don't know if I would go. Yeah, there we go. I don't know if I'd go towards it. The snow NATO was boring. Oh. All right. I'll get to something a little more exciting. But I probably gotta hit the content warning for this. But I guess that's what you came for. Three people found dead after falling through a lake in Arizona.
There's ice on Woods Canyon Lake behind me, the sign that a tragedy happened. 6 people fell through, 3 of them parents that never made it out alive.
Goddamn.
Slow, somber process Tuesday. Divers gearing up for a recovery effort. The rescue window had closed. Monday, the day after Christmas, 3 families, 6 adults, 5 kids, drove up from Chandler to enjoy the snowy outdoors.
They were up here just sort of as a recreational, enjoying it, and wanted to get some pictures out on the ice.
That's when 3 of the parents fell through the ice and into the 30-degree water.
Hypothermia sets in very quickly.
Charbadon?
And if you're not a swimmer, it's that much more difficult.
Firefighters told
Thank you for being a freaking follower.
Children and a woman
What the fuck indeed.
their loved ones, but they fell into the water themselves and barely made it.
Let's go back. Hold on.
By the time someone got fell through the ice and into the 30-degree water. 6 adults, 5 kids, drove up from Chandler to enjoy the snowy outdoors.
They were up here just sort of as a recreational, enjoying it, and wanted to get some pictures out on the ice.
That's when 3 of the parents fell through the ice and into the 30-degree water.
Hypothermia sets in very quickly at that point. And if you're not a swimmer, it's that much more difficult.
Firefighters told ABC 15 2 children and a woman tried to rescue their loved ones, but they fell into the water themselves and barely made it to the shore. By the time someone got cell service and first responders arrived with limited resources, it was too late. One father and both parents of 2 little girls passed away.
You never get used to it, especially when you're dealing with the children.
And DCS had to be called Monday night to come and take custody of the orphaned girls.
We wanted to make sure that they felt as safe as possible, tried to keep them
Oh, god damn.
from the scene as best as we could.
The fathers' bodies were found Tuesday, bringing an end to the recovery effort at Woods Canyon Lake. But everyone on that shore was thinking about the kids, the families, and their recovery. Zach Crenshaw, ABC 15, Arizona.
There you go. That wasn't boring. Got a couple more gut-wrenching stories for you here. We're gonna go to Michigan. For another, I was making fun of the UK for people falling into lakes in the UK. Apparently, it's also a scourge here in the US. We just have people just like fall into lakes naturally. Missing doctor found dead under a frozen pond surface in Michigan. A dive team searched the pond near Dr. Bullock Penyon's home after his security system showed him leaving his house on foot. A Michigan doctor who was reported missing on Christmas Eve was found dead Tuesday after a diving team searched a frozen pond near his home. Dr. Bullock Penyon was last seen leaving the Henry Ford Alliance Health Hospital in Jackson last Thursday. Blackman Leone Public Safety said Christmas Eve on Facebook his car was found at his home, but he did not return to work or have contact with his friends or family. Payen was seen leaving his home on foot after detectives were able to access his password-protected security system, authorities said on Tuesday. Search of the area, which included the use of police dogs and drones, yielded no results. The Jackson County dive team found Payen after it cut holes into the surface of a frozen pond on his property to search the water. An autopsy is being conducted by the Jackson County Medical Examiner's Office. Detectives believe Dr. Penyon would have been deceased prior to when he was reported missing due to the weather conditions on the day that he left his residence and the fact that he was in the water. Well, okay. It's not all grisly. I got some stories that are death-defying, but have happy endings. How about that? Some rescuers used some kayaks to get to a pilot after a crash. I have some 9/11 videos if you want to keep things light. We do the news here. We do a serious news show on the show with the troll head. I'm into this shit. I watch this shit anyway. I love body camera footage.
Okay. Yeah.
Pope dying is later on in the show. So this happened in Maryland. A plane crashed into a river. You're seeing the rescue happen. County Fire Department officials praised the kayakers and said their heroic action saved Couchman's life. You see the tail of the plane there sticking up from the river. Benedictus the 16th. I think it's the 16th. He's not in very good health. But I've still got more crazy news to show you. Possibly weather induced. This one is some fucking Final Destination shit right here. Motorists survive after a guardrail impels their car on a Connecticut highway. Holy shit.
We're going to come up this side first.
It'll buffer out.
You don't want to be in this.
Holy fucking deed. It's a wonder. Charmed One, good evening. It is a wonder. It is a wonder they survived that shit. The two motorists were able to walk away from a serious car accident after a steel guardrail impelled is the right word. Impelled their vehicle. Authorities said the incident happened on December 26 on Interstate 384 in Manchester, Connecticut. Manchester Fire Rescue EMS posted footage of the scene showing the guardrail stuck between the passenger seats and protruding from the vehicle. That does not do it justice. Jesus was at work with that one. The steel guardrail penetrated the vehicle in the right front.
You live in sexual anarchy?
Passed completely through the passenger compartment between both occupied seats and exited the left rear, extending approximately 20 feet out of the vehicle. Like a shish kebab. The car was shish kebabbed. Miraculously, the occupants suffered only minor injuries and were transported to a local hospital with fire department paramedics. I would assume the worst part, like they're just startled. That's not the only one I got for you. It's another Christmas miracle. A postal worker survives a crash that demolished his truck. Look at that fucking shit. This happened in Kent County, Michigan. A postal worker was left with numerous broken bones and injuries after her mail truck was hit head-on by a semi-truck the day before Christmas Eve. According to Michigan State Police, the crash happened on Friday morning in Kent County in western Michigan, north of Grand Rapids. Troopers said the driver of the postal truck was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. State Police shared photos of the crash on Twitter, showing a totaled mail truck buried among snow. Icy roads can be seen surrounding the area. Goddamn. Family members identified the USPS driver as Dora Schwinger. On a GoFundMe page, Schwinger's daughters said she suffered 2 broken ankles, 2 broken legs, a broken pelvis bone, a broken tailbone, broken ribs, 2 broken wrists, and 2 broken arms. I'm sorry that you had to resort to a GoFundMe, ma'am. God damn. If you so feel the need to give, there's the GoFundMe. They are very close to their goal. The goal of 20 grand, they're already up to 16. Schwinger will be undergoing multiple surgeries, including on her left leg, left foot, left wrist, and potentially left pinky. God damn. I mean, are you gonna jack off to me?
You live in sexual anarchy?
By the way, you can go to the best of the Troll Patrol and the origins of Charlie Kirk talking about sexual anarchy. Totally right there at your fingertips. Everything time coded. Charlie Kirk, sexual anarchy, right there. All right, hopefully this is the last time I actually talk about the Super Bowl halftime show. We did. That's where sexual anarchy comes from. Because apparently Charlie Kirk responded.
You live in sexual anarchy.
Stupid ass tweet he sent out. Totally go watch the best of the Troll Patrol 2022. Catch up on all the moments you missed. We've been talking about weather-related incidents. Here is something I didn't know about. Bats get really cold and they fall to the ground. And poor bats.
More bats in Pearland.
Hyperthermic shock caused hundreds of Mexican free-tailed bats to lose their grip and fall. Wildlife officials who had rabies vaccinations went out and rescued them. Damn, that's a lot of bats. 1,600 bats ended up in the attic of the Houston Humane Society's wildlife director.
Are the bats?
Oh, look at the cute little fuckers.
There
wasn't an appropriate room for them in their main building.
So we decided the best thing to do would be to put them up in my attic where it's cold but not freezing, so that they could go into kind of a hibernative state called torpor. And so their metabolism slows down. They don't use as much glucose. They don't need to eat. And they think it's maybe time to go and fly out. These guys are
Globus.
Gonna be ready.
What's up, my friend?
For sure. Just thought I'd share that with you.
Most of them will be released on Wednesday to the same area which they were rescued. It is warmed up across most of the U.S.
Live in a society. They've got
Yes, we live in a
friends,
society.
they've got mates, so if we were to release them in another location, they would fight for territory. They wouldn't be welcomed where they are, so they need to go back to where their home is.
From whence they came.
You know, a lot of people think you get attached and you don't want to release them. It's the exact opposite. You're attached, but you're so happy to see them out where they're supposed to be and free. It's just, there's no feeling like it.
That's kind of scary. The Humane Society is now working to raise money for facility upgrades that would include a bat room. They can let the bats do that shit. No, I don't want to talk about Nepo babies. We do real news here on this show, goddammit. You want more gore? I got more gore. Yeah, I guess we'll do more gore. Not Al Gore. We do politics here. Simp, good evening. No. You read my mind. No. Politics comes after the break. We're gonna keep doing gruesome stories. Indiana woman has been that was denied a protective order days before she was killed in an apparent murder-suicide. Her family is speaking out. This is an issue that needs to be covered. Thank you, Simp. A lot of women report abuse, try to obtain protective orders and are denied, and then end up dead.
A woman was killed in her home just days after filing for divorce. Tonight, her family opens up about the tragedy. The family of Julie Yao-Schmidtke says that she was denied a restraining order against her estranged husband just days before she was killed.
Columbus, Indiana police are investigating it as an apparent murder-suicide. In a story you'll only see on WLKY, our Gladys Batista talked with the victim's family, who believes the system failed her.
Julie Yao-Schmidtke's smile shows the happiness of a mother with two boys, who was also 5 months pregnant with a baby girl. But her sister, Lori Griffin, says behind all of it was fear.
She was scared. She was very scared. She started changing the locks on her doors. She started concealing. She got cameras put up all around the house.
Her family says the cameras were to alert her if her husband, Charles Schmidtke, came around. Griffin says the relationship went sour after her sister was attacked by her husband 3 months into their marriage.
I really thought that was going to be the one ticket to get her a protection order. Like, surely you get raped and attacked violently like that.
Griffin believes what actually ended up happening set the tone for this now grieving family.
Then when she goes to court, with all the evidence that she had, even police checking on her for her safety, and they denied her. And then 10 days later, she's murdered in her own home in front of her kids.
Court records show Julie had filed for divorce 5 days before her death. She was killed in her home on Sumter Court in Columbus, Indiana, in what police say was an apparent murder-suicide.
He shot her several times in front of her son. Then at that point, he came into the hallway, looked at Landon with a smile on his face, saying that, "I'm here for your mother. You boys need to call your father to come pick you up." Then he drug her into the bedroom and finished the job. He executed her.
Griffin says she's angry with the court system the family believes failed them.
They had the chance to take his guns and his ammo. It would have been harder for him to find a gun to attack my sister. Like, they just completely failed her. It's unspeakable.
Now the family is preparing to say goodbye to Julie and her unborn baby, Caroline.
It's gonna be a big hole in our family.
In Columbus, Indiana, Gladys Bautista, W.
This is one of the reasons why I advocate for red flag laws. It is people, spouses that are in abusive relationships like that need to be listened to when it comes to when the courts need to step in to take firearms from people. When, like, right-wingers always got upset with the believe women tagline. It's like, oh, do I need to believe all women? Well, no, you need to take claims that women make seriously, because this shit is far too fucking common. And I'm tired of having to hear these stories over and over and over again. So much wrong with that. Go to Missouri, where last week a woman tracked down the alleged carjackers who stole her car. Apparently this had something to do with a viral TikTok trend. Oh, yeah! Shakespeare. What's going on? Thank you for being a freaking follower. A woman in Missouri allegedly tracked down and killed the men she believes stole her car. Demisha Coleman, 35, was arrested after the killings and charged with 2 counts of murder, 1 count of assault, and 3 counts of armed criminal action. She allegedly shot and killed Darius Jackson, who was 19 years old, and Joseph Farrer, 49, who she believed had stolen her car. Police responded to reports of a shooting at a gas station in St. Louis, where they found Mr. Farrer and Mr. Jackson with gunshot wounds to their torsos. A third man was shot in the head, but survived the attack. It is unclear if the victims had stolen Miss Coleman's car. According to police, surveillance video showed Miss Coleman approaching the gas station with a man who was also armed. She allegedly approached a Hyundai Tucson she believed to be hers, opened the door, and began firing her gun inside. Fox News reports that Miss Coleman told detectives that she went to the gas station to retrieve her stolen vehicle. She had no prior criminal history. Hyundai and Kia thefts have surged in the St. Louis region in recent weeks. A viral TikTok trend showed users how to use USB cables to hotwire the cars and likely contributed to the spike in thefts. I had no clue this was going on. Oh, I guess they're not going to show us the TikTok videos. The car makers are facing a class action lawsuit as a result. They're very easy, unfortunately, to steal, Buffalo Police Commissioner Joseph Gramaglia said after a group of teenagers died in an accident following the theft of a Kia Sportage. You can look up the information that's been put out there. Gramaglia continued. There are numerous cities across the country that are looking into or have filed lawsuits against Kia because of the ease that they are able to steal these cars. Fucking wow. All right, now we're going to go to Idaho. This is a story we've covered a couple different times. We've had to check in because the police have dropped the ball big time. This was 4 college students were stabbed to death in their house. Idaho's in Moscow, Idaho. This is the second time we've been to Idaho tonight. Idaho has been very newsworthy. Police just dropping this body camera footage from an encounter where they got called out to the house a couple weeks before the murders.
Hello, miss. What's your name?
Xana.
Police confront one of the victims in the Idaho University murders. Body cam video obtained by a web sleuth shows cops at the house where the murder.
Oh, the cops didn't even fucking drop it?
Xana Kernodle comes to the door and an officer reads her the riot act.
This is the second noise complaint we've had here tonight within 2 hours.
I'm sorry
Okay?
about that.
So this time it was the blonde gal and the guy on the back porch playing music. Okay? So.
I sincerely apologize about that.
Okay.
He is sincerely drunk.
Okay. So, just so you understand, you could be getting a misdemeanor citation for this, which means you have to go.
Oh, fuck off, cop.
And explain why you couldn't keep the people in your house quiet.
The incident happened over Labor Day weekend, 7 weeks before the brutal murders. It's 12:40 a.m. Xana was the only one of the 5 women who lived there who was home. She told cops another victim, Madison Mogan, was at the Corner Club, the same sports bar where she and slain Kaylee Gonzalez spent their last evening alive. That's them caught on a just-released surveillance camera image a couple of hours before they were murdered. Body cam makes it clear the house was party central, and the noise was infuriating neighbors.
We can hear you from clear down the road when we were coming up here. We could hear the music. Because neighbors
I don't believe you.
While the 7-week investigation into the murders appears to be stalled, cops issued a strongly worded appeal asking the public for.
I think the cops had a vendetta against them.
And social media content to help solve the murders.
When you ask the public generally,
like there was plenty of distance. How in the fuck?
FBI agent Maureen strongly worded appeal asking the public.
How in the fuck are you so loud that your neighbors can hear you? You should be able to play music relatively loud and get away with it. What the fuck? Clear down the road is not a standard unit of measurement. Tones is. Good evening, Tones. What's going on, my friend?
For additional pictures, video, and social media content to help solve the murders.
when you ask the public generally for help, it means you're stuck.
I spoke with former FBI agent Maureen O'Connell. Do you think the suspect was known to the victims?
I think the victims were known to the suspect in some way, shape, or form. And it could have been something innocuous, like someone that just works at a convenience store or would see these girls going out to, hang with their friends, and they were very beautiful and popular. I could see someone becoming fixated on them in that regard.
Idaho police say they've now received more than 12,000 tips in the case.
I wanted to highlight the apparent TikTok conspiracy. It's starting to win me over that maybe TikTok is a scourge on society. But then again, it's like fucking old people say that about everything. Every new thing that happens is like a scourge on society. But there was a conspiracy that went around on the TikTok against one of the professors at the university there in the city, and the professor totally didn't do it.
It has been about 6 weeks since the brutal murders of 4 University of Idaho college students inside their off-campus home in the dead of night. Still no answers for the families of Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Kaylee Gonzalez as to what happened.
I'm fascinated by this.
That house on King Road. Tonight, yet another person has been ruled out as a suspect. KREM 2 is still pushing for information from the investigators of the Moscow homicides, and KREM 2 Shannon Mowdy sat down one-on-one with the police chief to find out where the investigation stands today.
Just a few hours ago, Moscow police released an update in this case saying there is still no identified suspect. But already the department is looking ahead to the day of an arrest, and that is heavily factoring into how we're seeing information come out now.
Hey, you couldn't make an arrest when you ain't got no suspect.
4 University of Idaho students were murdered inside this Moscow home. And with no identified suspect and leads still being tracked down, Moscow police are looking ahead.
It's not just about today. It's about in a year from now or whenever we make an arrest and go to trial.
Chief James Fry couldn't give out much information as the investigation continues.
He's useless.
That can be frustrating to those desperate for answers.
And we're fact finders. That's what an investigation does. It puts all the pieces together so that we can paint the picture, so that when an arrest is made and it goes to trial, that we can lay that all out for a jury to be able to see the facts and see how we got from point A to point B.
Finding facts, though, takes time, with rumors churning on social media, even leading to a lawsuit. A University of Idaho professor has filed a defamation suit against a woman who accused her of murdering the students on TikTok. Millions watched that video. New today, Moscow police said investigators don't believe she's involved in the crime.
We're focused on this homicide right now, so that's what we're...
Yeah, these...
But Chief Fry says...
True crime lovers on Facebook and TikTok are a real problem. This happens a lot with like missing kids, very salacious stories. You've got a lot of people that try to play amateur detective on the Facebook groups.
As the national attention...
it's new, you know, we're not used to the national attention quite this big.
...has also helped. It's generating even more tips.
We've had over 17.
Well, this isn't necessarily a good thing.
A nationwide team's helping sort through those.
Law enforcement says even if you know something you don't think is pertinent to the case, maybe you saw something that you don't know is the key, but maybe detectives and law enforcement know that that's the thing they need.
That's exactly right, and that's why we've asked people, you know, with any pictures from that night or any video to send it to us, send it to our tip line.
Because just one small tip could change everything.
And we're not going to stop until...
I'm not sure what the noise is she got going on. It sounds like she's shaking a can of spray paint.
Break. Chief Fry wants returning University of Idaho students to know that increased campus patrols will continue. He's even reached out to Latah County to add to that security.
Yeah, I think the cops have really dropped the ball on that one. All right, one last story, and then we're gonna go. If I can push the commercial back. Man has been arrested after a racist and homophobic rant at a San Ramen In-N-Out. Is that how you say that? Colorado man has been arrested on hate crime charges after a viral TikTok video showed him hurling homophobic and racist slurs at 2 Korean American customers dining at a California In-N-Out burger. Want the TikTok video? There we go.
Wait, have you had a light wheel fry before?
What is a light wheel fry?
Okay, it's French.
I have not had it.
Yeah. You're weird homosexual.
What?
Why me, man? Why me? I just want to eat my flying Dutchman in peace, bro. I feel like this is a fever dream. Like, is it still the 24th? Is it still Christmas Eve?
On Christmas Eve, no less.
Honestly, for eating this flying Dutchman, I kind of feel like I deserve to be hate crime.
Well, that actually...
That really did actually just happen.
Japanese or Korean?
I'm Korean.
Yeah, Kim Jong-un's boyfriend, huh? You're Kim Jong-un's boyfriend?
You know, we have been acquainted.
You've had gay sex with him?
Ooh, would not go that far. We're only on second base. He hasn't taken me out to dinner.
He's fondled Un's titties.
Can I take you out to dinner?
Come on, stop.
Nothing.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Elliot,
I'm sorry.
stop.
I'm sorry.
You
My
said
bad. I didn't say anything.
You didn't say
No, sir.
nothing.
Nothing.
Get spit in your face and some Filipino shoes.
What?
Why were you watching mine?
Because it's fucking funny.
Oh my god. Only in San Ramon.
Then Ramon.
No, you weren't. Anyways, you can try the. Anyways, you can try the fry.
I'm chilling. Don't worry. This is not in the name of the holiday cheer. Yes, somebody was not included in all the reindeer games.
You should have not said
I
anything. He's staring at us right now.
I like them.
Anyways, that little fry,
I would love one.
They're adorable.
he is very much still there. Oh, at least I'll try the root beer float. That is a root beer. You think he's gonna pull a gun on him?
My midterms are almost being released. I'm just saying.
Honestly, 10 out of 10 would get it again. Oh my god, I can't even do this. I'm done. So I'm gonna try the whole grilled
The
onion.
burger looks really good.
I'm so nervous. I'm gonna.
Well, yeah, because he's like, I'm gonna wait.
Yes, Sam, like we were just reading that. The Colorado man has been arrested on hate crime charges after that viral TikTok video showed him hurling homophobic and racist slurs at two Korean American customers during a dining at a California In-N-Out burger. 40-year-old Jordan Douglas. Shit. I'm sorry. I've got the cotton mouth really bad. I really need to go refill my coffee. 40-year-old, and that's what I'm going to blame it on, not just being stupid. 40-year-old Jordan Douglas Craw of Denver, Colorado was arrested on Monday by San Ramon police and charged with 2 counts of committing a hate crime, the police department said in a statement. According to investigators, the tirade took place on the night of Christmas Eve inside an In-N-Out burger in San Ramon, where Orion Kim and Elliot Ha were filming a TikTok video of Ha's reaction to Kim's food order. The video we just watched. All right, when we come back from the other side of the break, we're going to check in with the previous Pope, and then we're going to check in with the Pope of men's rights, Andrew Tate. I'm looking forward to watching his video response to getting smacked down by Greta Thunberg. Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to attack Tulsi Gabbard. Kanye is missing. Kanye is missing, guys. Maybe we should be worried. Ted Cruz is going to try to call out Joe Biden, and that is going to backfire spectacularly. Plus, the EU is getting sued by Exxon Mobil. All that and more when we come back on the other side of the break. Hi, I'm Justin FREAKIN. I'm a leftist broadcaster and comedian, not liberal, leftist. And despite what you may have heard from right-wing propaganda, George Soros isn't handing out Soros bucks and funding people like me. There are no Koch brothers, Mercers, or any number of right-wing think tanks funding content on the left side of the spectrum the way they fund people like Ben Shapiro, Dave Rubin, and Dennis Prager. And YouTube doesn't monetize videos that are controversial or deal with politics unless you're someone like Steven Crowder. So this is an ultimatum. Become a patron. Support my Patreon, or I'm going to become a right-winger and get some of that easy money. You know for a fact that I could be bigger than Charlie Kirk or Jesse Lee Peterson.
Amazing!
All I have to do is talk about how I used to be an SJW snowflake, but the left went too far with their cultural Marxism, and Republicans are stupid enough to buy it, even though this video exists. And you know I'm right, so give me your money or I'm selling you out.
We live in turbulent times. The media is full of deception, conspiracy theories, and fake news. Now, more than ever, it is important to ensure you're getting information from a source that's freaking reliable.
I'm Justin Mullins, and this is the Freakin' News.
Get a breaking or interesting story with a humorous twist in about a minute weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern on YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, and more.
Oh, I bet you guys want a kitten, don't you? I know, she's acting like she's gonna throw up or something. Look at him. Look at the baby. This kitten is wild. This kitten climbs the walls. Don't let that face fool you. He ain't sweet at all. So she ain't got no lip. Ain't got no tail either. Bobtail. She awfully cute though. They found her in a car in a truck, and like her lip was already like that. They don't know what happened to it. They're gonna do surgery on it, but apparently if the surgery doesn't take, it's no big deal. Like it doesn't affect her quality of life. She sounds weird when she drinks water. It's different. She's over there drinking water right now. It's a wild noise. I thought one of the other cats was throwing up. I'm like, oh no, that's the baby kitten drinking water. I'm not high enough for this shit. I'm looking forward to talking some of the bullshit that we got. I don't know, like, am I gonna laugh about Kanye being missing? It's a weird one. Him not being in the public eye is the best thing for him right now, that's for sure. Like, I hope he's not, like, missing. He's gonna be found under a pond or some shit. We've done that story too many times tonight. Toxic Blades. Good evening. I mean, that's a good possibility. Before we get there, though, energy giant Exxon Mobil sues EU to block energy windfall. U.S. energy giant Exxon Mobil is suing the EU in a bid to force the bloc to scrap its new windfall tax on oil firms. The windfall tax is imposed on firms that benefited from something they were not responsible for. Energy firms are getting much more money for their oil and gas, partly due to supply concerns as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. But Exxon accuses Brussels of exceeding its legal authority, calling the measure counterproductive. ExxonMobil reported a quarterly profit of almost $20 billion in October. In September, European Commission Chief Ursula von der Leyen announced the plan for major oil, gas, and coal companies to pay a crisis contribution on their increased 2022 profits, which sounds perfectly reasonable. A 33% tax on this year's profits was announced, which were more than the 20% higher than the average for the 3 previous years. But Exxon argues that the levy discourages investments and undermines investor confidence in a challenge filed at the EU's Luxembourg-based General Court. Whether we invest here primarily depends on how attractive and globally competitive Europe will be, Exxon spokesperson Casey Norton told the Reuters news agency. So, trying to extort them. Go to Jackson, Mississippi, where residents are still without clean water. They are tired of apologies.
These very important press conferences.
The mayor of Jackson, Mississippi.
We are dealing with the worst case scenario, like we said was a possibility last Monday. We have heard from residents who have not had water for days. I've spoken to residents whose family have been in town for the holidays, who are scrambling to fix Christmas dinner with little to no water. I've spoken
give
to
oil companies subsidies while we can't
city of Jackson.
get clean water to the city of Jackson. This is the capital city of Mississippi.
Apologies. We, too, are tired. There is no way to prevent what is happening to our water treatment facility. We do not control Mother Nature. We are dealing with an old and crumbling system that continues to offer challenge after challenge. And this is why when we stand before you 3 or 4 days ahead of time and say that we have the threat of Arctic temperatures and this can threaten our system, we say so seriously and sincerely because we have experienced these challenges before. And over the span of time that we have in order to prepare, there is little that we can do in order to prevent things like pipes rupturing and disturbing our water treatment distribution system. I don't want residents to assume that if you see a leak in the street and it's been running for some time that the city is aware. So we are asking for your help. We're asking
oh my God.
for our eyes and our ears so that we can have the crews that respond. In many instances, these crews aren't actually making repairs because they're looking for the leaks, and as soon as they can find
I'm pretty sure Flint still doesn't have clean drinking water.
Those repairs immediately, so we need your help.
No, not the British laughing at us now. Don't do that. Don't make us feel bad. Ted Cruz. I got to hit the content warning for him, right? That was an established rule. I got to hit a content warning before we do a Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz has been called out for hypocrisy after mocking Joe Biden's tropical vacation. Senator Ted Cruz either has a very bad memory or simply likes being humiliated. I think he has a humiliation kink. It's possible that he lives in sexual anarchy.
You live in sexual anarchy?
That's the only reasonable explanation for why he attempted to mock President Joe Biden for vacationing in the U.S. Virgin Islands, while much of the U.S. is plagued by a frigid winter storm. Although it can be argued that having the president sunbathing in St. Croix? I have no clue how you say it. While many of his fellow Americans are shivering makes for bad optics, Cruz is the wrong person to make that argument. You might remember the smarmy Texas Republican came under fire in February of 2021 when he jetted off to Cancun, Mexico, avoiding power outages in his state caused by historic winter weather. And he got drug on Twitter. Because that's the society we live in. Hopefully, Twitter humiliates you. Shames you into feeling embarrassment. Content warning on this one. We're going to talk about drag shows. Ron DeSantis is launching an investigation into a Christmas drag show in South Florida. We got a video attached to it, but it don't want to play in Google for some reason.
Over a drag show brewing in South Florida. The state now stepping in to investigate a Christmas drag show which came through our area on a national tour.
Governor Ron DeSantis' office responded to complaints about children in the audience there. NBC6's Phil Prazen is live now from Fort Lauderdale with more on this story and the details. Phil.
Well, organizers originally advertised these shows as for all ages. The venues, however, were very clear with people saying this was for adults only unless children came with their parents. Small groups of protesters followed the drag queen shows, picketing the sidewalks outside of Tuesday night's show at the James L. Knight Center.
We're going to come out and peacefully protest, brochure in hand, because we cannot accept that it's blasphemies against
motherfuckers. Their kids are far safer around drag queens than they are around churches.
Really gotten out of hand. It's a very satanic situation to pervert our children. And
did he say it's a satanic situation? I don't know what drag has to do with Satan.
Catholic group prayed outside and chanted.
It's really gotten out of hand. It's a very satanic situation to pervert our children, and we cannot permit that.
They're protesting the holidays, they're protesting good fun, they're protesting families.
A local anti-fascist organization held a counter-protest supporting the show across the street.
They have hatred in their souls for people that we love about, and this is a form of self-defense, of community defense.
On Monday, Nina West and Trinity the Tuck performed a drag queen Christmas at the Broward Center for Performing Arts. The Department of Business and Professional Regulation received complaints over the show Monday night and are investigating. Brian Griffin, the governor's press secretary, wrote,
investigating.
Fines will be shared with the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Writing, exposing children to sexually explicit activity is a crime in Florida, and such action violates the department's licensing standards for operating a business and holding a liquor license. We asked for an interview or comment from Nina West and Trinity the Tuck.
They're going to go after the venues. They're going to go after the venues and make the venues scared to host any of these events. My God, these people are evil.
Department of Law Enforcement. Writing, exposing children to sexually explicit activity is a crime in Florida, and such action violates the department's licensing standards for operating a business and holding a liquor license. We asked for an interview or comment from Nina West and Trinity the Tuck and have not yet heard back. A media spokesperson from the Broward Center of Performing Arts wrote me saying the show was 18 years and up unless their parents brought them. Writing, to ensure patrons were aware of the adult themes and content in the show, this information was on the website and ticket purchase page. All ticket buyers were also informed directly through a know before you go email. I've reached out to Governor DeSantis' office to see if the Miami show is also under investigation, and I've not yet heard back. So again, the crux of this issue is, should parents be able to bring their children to these drag shows? Now, the facilities allow it. They see nothing wrong with parental supervision. Now, Governor DeSantis' administration opposes that and will investigate, and the stakes could be the facilities' liquor licenses. Phil Price, NBC6 News.
Florida should be cool. Like, it should be like the coolest state in the country. But it's not. It's like the shittiest ass state. What the fuck? We're gonna go to New York, where the gay Jewish Republican, who is apparently not gay or Jewish, now has an investigation launched into him. The DA launches investigation into Rep-elect George Santos for his fabrications she calls nothing short of stunning. On Monday, Santos, who was recently elected to represent a portion of Long Island, New York in Congress, admitted to a slew of lies he told about his qualifications on the campaign trail. Representative-elect George Santos is under investigation after admitting to fabricating details of his past. This is according to the Nassau County District Attorney's Office. The numerous fabrications and inconsistencies associated with the Congressman-elect Santos are nothing short of stunning. The residents of Nassau County and other parts of the 3rd District must have an honest and accountable representative in Congress. No one is above the law, and if a crime was committed in this county, we will prosecute it. Huh. Well, he was on last night with Tulsi Gabbard. Speaking of people who changed their party, Tulsi Gabbard, who recently left the Democrats, I guess was filling in for Tucker Carlson. And she had George Santos on last night.
Just try not to get caught. I should know. I served in Congress for 8 years. But even when these politicians do get caught, people just shrug their shoulders and move on. No big deal, no consequences. A few examples. Dick Blumenthal lied about his military service. And of course, Elizabeth Warren. She lied about having Native American heritage. So no one should be surprised that the American people don't trust these politicians. They've got no faith that those in Washington are actually working.
Are those really the two best lies you could come up with? My God. Weapons of mass destruction would be a much better lie to point to. Oh, that's on the Republican side.
For the people when they're so clearly working for themselves. Now, there are new accusations that George Santos, who was just elected to represent New York in Congress in this past election, has actually been lying extensively about his own past. Now, he admits to some of these deceptions. For example, Santos acknowledges that he, quote, embellished his resume by saying that he graduated from Baruch College, but he didn't. Now, Santos has also admitted he never actually worked for Citigroup and Goldman Sachs, even though his website suggested that he did. Additionally, Santos once called himself a proud Jew. But in an interview with the New York Post, Santos now says, quote, I am Catholic. Because I learned my maternal family had a Jewish background, I said I was Jew-ish. There are other accusations, but now we have the opportunity to hear directly from George Santos himself. This is
gonna be fun.
Interview since these accusations surfaced. George Santos joins us now. Congressman-elect Santos, thank you for joining us today. First question I really want to ask you, now that all of this has been revealed, is what does the word integrity mean to you?
Well, Tulsi, thank you for having me. You know, to answer your question, integrity is very important. And like I said to the New York Post, embellishing
what
my
does it
resume
mean,
was
though?
a mistake.
What does it mean? Because
it is the second I. Intensity, integrity, and then intelligence. It's the 3 I's.
To answer your question, integrity is very important. And like I said to the New York Post, embellishing
what
my
does it
resume
mean,
was a
though?
mistake.
What does it mean? Because the meaning of the word actually matters in practice.
Of course, it means to carry yourself in an honorable way. And I made a mistake. And I think humans are flawed, and we all make mistakes, Tulsi. I think we can all look at ourselves in the mirror and admit that once in our life we made a mistake. I'm having to admit this in national television for the whole country to see, and I have the courage to do so because I believe that in order to move past this and move forward and be an effective member of Congress, I have to face my mistakes, and I'm facing them.
I don't know that you're going to Congress.
Doing
it's possible.
I set forward in my campaign. I'm not a fraud. I'm not a fake. I didn't materialize from thin air. I worked damn hard to get where I got my entire life. Life wasn't easy. It didn't start off easy. As I've said it many, many times, I come from abject poverty. I made some mistakes, and I own up to them. And now I want to put this past me so I can deliver for the American people.
The thing is, Congressman-elect, integrity means, yes, carrying yourself with honor, but it means telling the truth, being a person of integrity. And if I were one of those in New York's 3rd District right now that the election is over, and I'm
it has never mattered in the Republican Party.
Told not just one little lie or one little embellishment. These are blatant lies. My question is, do you have no shame? Do you have no shame in the people who are...
Can you not feel embarrassment?
To go and be their voice for them, their families, and their kids in Washington?
There is not a shred of integrity between the two of them. No, not at all.
You can say the same thing about the Democrats and the party. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden's been lying to the American people for 40 years. He's the president of the United States. Democrats resoundingly support him. Do they have no shame? I've made this.
Come on, man. This is not about the Democratic Party, though. This is about your relationship, frankly, with the people who've entrusted you to go and fight for them. And I think one of the questions that really probably hits home to a lot of people is are you Jewish? We've got a letter that your campaign sent.
I don't think you are.
Here, which reads as follows. As a proud American Jew, I've been to Israel numerous times for educational, business, and leisurely trips. You said there in that letter that you are, quote, a proud American Jew. How do you explain that?
My heritage is Jewish. I've always identified as Jewish. I was raised a practicing Catholic. I think I've gone through this. Even I've not being raised a practicing Jew. I've always joked with friends and circles, even in the campaign, I'd say, guys, I'm Jewish. Remember, I was raised Catholic. So, look, I understand everybody wants to nitpick at me. I'm going to reassure this once and for all. I'm not a...
You said your family fled the Holocaust.
Extensive career that I worked really hard to achieve. And I'm going to deliver from my experience, because I remember delivering...
It wasn't just the Holocaust. He said his family fled from Stalin in Russia. And then fled the Holocaust. 6 question marks. What's going on, my friend?
I campaigned on crime. I campaigned on education. I campaigned on delivering results.
Motherfucker thinks he's still going to serve in Congress.
The 3rd Congressional District heard me.
And he might.
On as I campaigned. Now it's going to be incumbent upon me to deliver on those results. And I look forward to servicing and serving my district. I look forward to serving my people.
He flipped a blue district.
That people are looking for. The results that people are looking for are called into question when you tell blatant lies, not embellishments. And this is, I think, one of the biggest concerns, Congressman-elect, is that you don't really seem to be taking this seriously. You've apologized. You said you've made mistakes, but you've outright lied. A lie is not an embellishment on a resume. You said you worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. But they've said, we've got no record of this guy working for us. You've said you've gone to and graduated from these universities, but they've said, well, we've got no record of that. These are blatant lies, and it calls into question how your constituents and the American people can believe anything that you may say when you are standing on the floor of the House of Representatives, supposedly fighting for them. That's the real issue here.
Well, look, I agree with what you're saying, and as I stated, and I continue, we can debate my resume and how I worked with firms such as Goldman and Citigroup.
Is it debatable or is it just false?
No,
is
it's
it debatable or is it just
debatable.
false?
No, it's not false at all. It's debatable. I can sit down and explain to you what you can do in private equity, in capital intro, via servicing limited partners and general partners. And we can have this discussion that's going to go way above the American people's head. But that's not what I campaigned on. I campaigned
Whoa! You wouldn't understand what I'm getting ready to, like, the bullshit I'm getting ready to spill. So we just need to move past. I think his argument is that he worked for, like, vendors of Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. And that's the embellishment that he made on his resume.
People by lowering inflation. I can sit down, and if you want to have that discussion,
I think Tulsi admires him.
Explain that to you and make sure that we settle the score.
This is not about settling scores, and I think you just kind of highlighted, I think, my concern and the concern that people at home have. You're saying that this discussion will go way above the heads of the American people, basically insulting their intelligence. So not only are you
well, I mean, it is Fox News he's on.
That you've told,
but
you're saying that you can't explain it in a way that your constituents would actually be able to understand.
I can explain it in a way
and that these lies are debatable.
If you give me the time, I can easily explain it for you. As in, when investors are looking for capital, and I'm sitting there doing due diligence on the appetite and what they're looking for, right? And we work alongside GPs and LPs to help them place this capital. This is what I was doing, and that's when I worked extensively with these firms and many other firms at my time as I was vice president of Linkbridge Investors. So this isn't a made-up narrative, but I feel like nobody really wants to sit down and talk about it. Everybody just wants to push me and call me a liar. Look, I embellished my resume.
Law dog, now a freaking subby.
Alex Santos, we've given you a lot of time, I think.
Fuzzy Simba giving out the gift sub. Thank you, Fuzzy Simba.
It's hard to imagine how they could possibly trust your explanations when you're not really even willing to admit the depth of your deception to them. Thank you so much for being here and joining us.
Thank you, Tulsi.
Now, this...
Neither of them seemed too happy with what they got out of that. Tulsi tried to seem like a hard ass, but, like, all the reporting had already been done for her. He just had to, you know, be a dickwad towards him. He bombed. He bombed bad. When's lying been a liability in the Republican Party? I just don't see how they're going to stop him. It's going to be up to McCarthy whether to seat him or not. I assume that Pelosi isn't going to take any action against him before the new Congress, unless, like, McCarthy is telling her to. Speaking of congressmen, let's talk about Jamie Raskin. Apparently he's not in good health, diagnosed with a serious but curable form of cancer. Raskin announced he's been diagnosed with diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. He said he'll soon begin chemoimmunotherapy and that it's a serious but curable form of cancer. Prognosis for most people in my situation is excellent after 4 months of treatment. In a statement, Raskin called the disease a serious but curable form of cancer. The congressman who served on the House January 6th committee also said that he expects to continue working while undergoing treatment, but will take steps to reduce exposure to viruses like COVID-19 and the flu. Raskin's not a bad guy. I'm all right with him. We've gotten to know him pretty well through the January 6th committee and the impeachment trial earlier in the year. Nope, that was last year. Yes, it was 2021. It all kind of runs together. Time is dilated. It was last year. The impeachment trial last year. The second one. No. I guess the other impeachment trial would have been in 2020 because it was right before the pandemic. It's hard keeping all this shit together in chronological order. especially when you smoke as much pot as I do. Benedictus, also sick. Benedict the 16th.
Vatican, where the Vatican has confirmed that the health of the former Pope, Pope Benedict XVI, is, quote, worsening, and that doctors are constantly monitoring the 95-year-old's condition. Today, Pope Francis said his predecessor's health is deteriorating, and he asked for people around the world to say prayers for Pope Benedict. To discuss this, let's bring in ABC News papal contributor and professor of law and religion at George Mason University, Helen Alvarez. Helen, thanks for being here. Pope Benedict has lived a long, long life.
Yeah, fuck him.
Frail. You can see it in the cage.
His Versace shoes or whatever.
Do we know anything else about his condition at this hour?
You know, I haven't seen anything released about it. I don't think we should be surprised that someone who's 95 might be experiencing just a general failure or decline.
Oh, yeah! And
Creepy creepo world.
Took that.
Thank you for being a freaking follower.
Of retiring from the papacy, the first to do so voluntarily, I think in 700, 800 years. He cited his declining health and, quote, lack of strength of mind and body due to his advanced age. That was almost 10 years ago now, back in 2013. The papacy was a heavy burden. And
I think the name Benedictus is
within the walls
cool.
of the Vatican. What's he been?
I'd be a Benedictus.
How active has he been?
You know, first I will note that he actually has had health problems his whole life. Like even as a young man in his 30s and beyond, he always thought he was going to be too frail for.
He was conceived with a weak sperm.
Appointments, and of course he just went from one major appointment to another. It was extraordinary, but he's definitely thought his health was not wonderful for maybe 60 years. Since he's been there, he does receive many.
Oh God, he looks like death right now.
The greatest theological mind of the 20th century in the Catholic tradition, and I know from those that he has written to or has met with at his place at the Vatican, that he has participated in really lively conversations with them about theological matters.
The power he wielded would have been like during the time at the height of the church just raping everybody, right?
So he stepped aside in great modesty, and he really kept.
He was Pope in the mid-2000s.
To step forward and be the face of the Holy See.
And there were concerns that it might not go well. There have been times in the long history of the Catholic Church when there have been more than one pope alive contesting the seat, and he could have perhaps led a rival group, and he chose to live quietly, as you note. And
Tulsi have you aroused, creepy.
The unprecedented nature.
You live in sexual anarchy.
You live in sexual anarchy.
How will the church, when the time comes, say goodbye to a Pope Emeritus?
You know, first I think that people said their first goodbyes to him on that beautiful flight, which
I've lived through a Pope dying before.
In the helicopter away.
Pope John Paul died in my lifetime.
I think people mostly said goodbye to him in their minds at that time.
They've already said goodbye to this old fuck.
So determined by popes in general or the history of the papacy as people's personal reaction to this man. I think he is a man of deep, complex, rich, varied history. He's been caricatured. You may remember.
I think he oversaw the church during one of its worst periods.
The Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, the chief doctrinal office.
Not absolute worst, because the church during the Holocaust.
He is the man who resisted going.
Wasn't exactly
until John Paul
clean
II
conscious.
insisted. He then tried to submit his resignation numerous times. John Paul II refused. I mean, here's the man who did not want to be the head of the most powerful doctrinal office in the church. Then he becomes Pope again without any campaign in that direction, and accepts it with responsibility, but fear and reluctance. And then he steps aside. So again, the irony of this reputation as the intense enforcer.
I had an owner of the radio station I worked for
to serve the church as he thought.
Looked exactly like that motherfucker.
Calling, that is, as a theologian. So people will say goodbye to him as a theologian and a beloved shepherd.
Right. And as Pope Francis has said that his retirement was a gift to the church itself, and perhaps that's a precedent there Helen Alvarez, we thank you very much. And I know we'll be...
That motherfucker probably knew all the bullshit the church was into. That's why he didn't want to lead the church. Fox News says that this university, Virginia school under fire, I think it was a university, for withholding awards in the name of equity. We're going to watch some Fox and Friends here.
The school wanted to recognize students as individuals, not their achievements, as if the two had to be separated. The kids got their certificate.
Oh, maybe it was a grade school.
College application deadlines just dropped onto their desks as if it was just another piece of paper. It's part of this agenda that's the dumbing down of America.
A Virginia mom outraged as a top local high school is accused of hiding students' academic achievements, even blocking them from including these honors on college applications, all in the name of equity. Fox News contributor Douglas Murray is here to react. Douglas, great.
Douglas Murray.
You know, Azra Nomani has been leading the fight. She broke this story, and yet here delaying the recipient of the National Merit Awards.
Is this the Fox and Friends B team? Who's this fuck?
Chances. Your reaction?
Well, first of all, I know Azra Nomani a bit. She's a terrific journalist, a terrific mom, and a terrific American. And I'm so pleased that she's stuck onto this story about what's going on at Thomas Jefferson High. I mean, the first thing is perfectly clear, as she says in her reporting, why the school is doing this.
I'm thinking of Charles Murray.
Awarding some students effectively merit certificates might demoralize people who don't get them. That effectively you've got a kind of hierarchy. And if there's one thing we've got to avoid in 21st century America, it's any kind of hierarchy, any kind of putting that person above that person because of achievement. Well, you know, school is largely about achievement. And just because you might flunk it one year doesn't mean you will the next. But yeah, we have to have systems of gradation. We have to be able to do that. And as Azra Nomani says,
I think we put too much pressure on goddamn kids.
And saying, no, we'd like to look at the child as an individual in the round and not just on their achievements. Sorry, other people can do that, home can do that, but school, it's about your achievements.
You know, to your point, the school is saying it out loud, the quiet part out loud. We have a quote from Brandon Kasatka, Director of Student Services.
The quiet part. What is the quiet part?
We want to recognize students for who they are as individuals, not focus on their achievements. So if little Johnny or Susie spends endless hours studying, preparing, and makes straight A's and qualifies for an award, we should not make that
good evening,
perhaps, than the student who did it in the hard work.
It is also just worth taking a moment to reflect how far we've come in this country.
Seriously, we put way too much pressure on kids and schools. We do not let kids be kids. We do not let them experiment. We put too much fucking emphasis on graded tests and shit that really don't measure a kid's intelligence or their creativity or their talent. So goddamn, Fox.
Thomas Jefferson School we're talking about. We're talking about one of the smartest minds that the world, let alone his country, ever produced. A man who taught himself, as well as was taught, who taught himself an astonishing amount. He didn't do that because of just who he was as an individual. He did it through achievement. And if Mr. and Mrs. Jefferson Sr. had said, we want to look at little Thomas as an individual, not at his achievements, I'm not sure that there would ever have been a Thomas Jefferson, and there certainly wouldn't be a school named after him. Yeah. You know, this country is built on people's achievements, not just on
Winnie, good evening.
Individuals, which is the modern speak for effectively, let's make sure everyone has prizes.
You know, that's such a salient point. Thomas Jefferson would be rolling in his grave, Douglas. But let me just ask you, why should people across the
You would think Thomas Jefferson was a woke lib turd
as a whole. as a whole in America today, there is this deep uncertainty among teachers, teacher unions, and everyone else in education. You know, they sort of seem to think that their job is to sort of create fully rounded political activists of some kind who have all the right opinions and sort of push the other stuff that they used to concentrate on to the side, to the extent that they think things like merit are bad. They think things like achievement are bad. They are effectively talking in the terms of political activists, not...
or maybe that scoring well on tests isn't everything in the world, you jackass.
Thing that we have across the whole country in schools and colleges. And this has to be turned on its head because America has to be competitive in the 21st century. To be competitive, we have to achieve. And that needs achievers.
You can bet this isn't happening.
You can bet this isn't happening in China? Is that what he was saying? Fucking Fox. All right. It is my displeasure to have to report this to you. I'm sad. I'm very sad that I'm going to have to do this next story. Speaking of cringe, Kanye West. Kanye West's ex-business manager can't locate the erratic star to serve him with a $4.5 million lawsuit amid a rumor that he is missing. Here's Kanye. Kanye West's ex-business manager, Thomas St. John, can't locate the erratic star to serve him with a $4.5 million contract lawsuit amid rumors the rapper is missing. Kanye has reportedly been missing and unable to find for weeks. The ex-business manager is believed to be Thomas St. John, given his ongoing lawsuit against Kanye and his company Yeezy. In a December 19th court filing exclusively obtained by the U.S. Sun, Thomas is seeking an extension of time to serve Ye and the other defendant, Yeezy LLC, the court docs. He and his attorneys are asking to extend the time until the end of March due to multiple failed attempts of contacting Ye. As of right now, there is a scheduled case management conference set for April of 2023. Kanye's former business manager is also having trouble notifying Ye's lawyer because they believe he does not have an attorney. Court filing stated, "We were advised about a new law firm for defendants, but not a specific point of contact. We subsequently learned of information in the news that the law firm identified as new counsel was not affiliated with the defendants. Accordingly, we have not been able to serve defendants through their counsel. As a general matter, we had difficulty confirming the best current address of Kanye West." For Mr. West, despite our diligent efforts, we were unable to ascertain his current residential address and therefore have not yet made attempts to serve him personally. Instead, we have attempted to serve him by mail at multiple possible addresses. We haven't seen him since what? The Gavin McGinnis whole episode? Now you can go back and watch on the best of the Troll Patrol that I put up on YouTube last night. It has chapters marked so you can get to any section that you might have missed. So say you want to find out about Kanye and how much he loves Hitler, you can just hit the Alex Jones timestamp bullshit. You get Alex Jones and Nazi bullshit. Kanye West on his show. TMZ is calling it a mental breakdown, and that's how easy that shit is. Everything time stamped out. You want to know about how Justice Thomas doesn't like Prince? This one's going to shock you. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has sparked outrage for saying that he used to be a Prince fan in the 80s. Used to be. What the fuck is up with that shit? Fuck you, Clarence Thomas. If we needed any more reason to not like you, old pube can. Alright, guys. This is it. This is what you came for. I can't believe what I saw on Twitter today. I saw a grown man try to pick on a 19-year-old and lose. Totally lost. But he couldn't leave it alone, apparently, so we're going to watch some cringe tonight. Let me set it up for you. Andrew Tate, for some reason, decided to tweet at Greta Thunberg. And this really cringe-ass picture of himself filling up his car with gas. Hello, at Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W16B, I don't even know, 80 liter quad turbo. I don't even know what these numbers mean. My 2 Ferrari 812 competitive zones. The fuck? Have 6.5 liter V12s. This is just the start. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions. Just unprovoked. Just unprovoked. And wanted to clout chase off of Greta Thunberg. Greta tweets back, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. Some people called it body shaming. I think it's funny. I thought it was a good clapback. Andrew Tate, however, apparently really let it get under his skin. So much so that he had to make a video about it. So this is Andrew Tate responding to Greta Thunberg owning him on Twitter.
Release some greenhouse gases. I'm obviously a stranger to online controversy. It's not something I often do. But now, the mainstream press is commenting on the fact that I was informing Greta that my very extensive car collection with internal combustion engines, which run on dead dinosaurs, have an enormous emission profile. And she replied by telling me her own email address.
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar, but sometimes a cigar is a big old dick. I think Freud said that.
I have small dick energy. Why would that be your own email address, Greta? Strange. I mean, obviously I don't want to assume her gender. It's 50-50, but it is what it is. I'm not actually mad at Greta. Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled. So I'm not actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the Matrix. She thinks she's doing good. Someone has sat her down and convinced her to try and convince you to beg your government to tax you into poverty to stop the sun from being hot.
Sir, you are an idiot.
Because I called her out on it. The global Matrix got this bot farm to like and retweet and all this bot commenting to try and pretend that her telling me that she has a small dick and her own email address somehow teaches me a lesson. Welcome to a new episode of The Clown Show. But now I know, at least.
You are the star of The Clown Show, sir.
Hate-filled face. Bitter, sitting somewhere without the heating on, in the cold, little hat, shivering. Use my tweets, which is going to make my Twitter account far more fun into eternity.
You gotta tell yourself that it was a bunch of bots, dude. That's some serious cope. That was hilarious. I'm so glad we watched that. But you deserve a palate cleanser after that. It would be wrong of me not to give you something like adorable, like snow leopards. After I made you sit through Andrew Tate. Oh my God! It's got its tail in its mouth. Oh my God! It's just doing a tumble. But he's not mad. And it was totally a bunch of bots. But he's not mad. I'm with you, buddy. That is adorable. Good cute little tail in its mouth. These are snow leopards. The Tanganyika Wildlife Park. Apparently located in Kansas. If you are watching on Twitch, you're going to head over to Echoplex Media. It's a Wednesday, isn't it? Did I say that at the beginning of the show? I don't even remember now. It is Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday. Means it's intellectual Dollar Tree time. So go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. Dustin, good evening, my friend. I'm Justin FREAKIN. We'll see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol live.